Let's see, 1, 2, 3.
Looks like we have quorum, and I will call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, and we will begin the meeting of the Oklahoma City Arts Commission for April 15th, 2024, my favorite day of the year. Before the commission votes on each item, I will ask staff to provide details of each case. I will ask if the applicant has anything to add, and I will ask if any members of the public wish to speak. If you wish to address the Arts Commission, you will be recognized. Please go to the central podium, state your name and address for the record, and begin your comments. Please limit comments to no more than 3 minutes. Our next item is to receive the minutes from the February 19th meeting. Since we are receiving the minutes and not approving them, all commissioners may make motions to receive and to vote whether they attended that particular meeting or not. So, ask for a motion and second, please. Okay, we've got it moved and seconded. Let's vote. All in favor? Yay. All righty. And it passes. Now we'll move to items of discussion and action. Item 3A, sound houses by Whiteboard Exhibits. The sculpture will be located on Will Rogers 12 at 3540 Northwest 56th Street, Ward 6, and Leandre will present the project.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leandre Lattimore. I'm project manager for Arts and Cultural Affairs. And what we'll be talking about today is sound houses. Okay, here we are. So this project is a bit exciting for me, and I think for the rest of us too in the office, because this is a little unique to what we've done in the past. So this artwork would be located along Will Rogers Trail. The exact address is 3540 Northwest 56th Street. It sits directly in front of a community center, a senior housing center, So one of the unique things about this project is that we were approaching this with the idea of having something that's very interactive as it sits along the trail. So for this proposal, it was done by Scott Henderson through Whiteboard Exhibits, and it is an interactive set of interactive sound houses is what they're called here. So one of the unique things about this is as you are moving along the trail, whether you're running, walking, biking, these will interact with you in such a way that when you pass it, it will create a noise that is generated through technology that will sit inside of the sound houses that will attract your attention to it. And as you get closer, you'll start to feel sort of a bass-like reverberating feeling. And as you get all the way up to it and even touch it, you'll feel a reverberation from the actual house itself. So we thought this was really unique because it'll allow people to step aside, have a break, and interact with this, and it's something that we were really excited about. So each of these structures would sit at about 6 feet tall and just under 4 feet wide, and all the technology will be housed inside here on this next slide. So as you can see here, it'll have a removable back hatch door that will be attached to protective screws that will allow for easy maintenance, but it will also be constructed in such a way that not anyone will be able to just come up and tamper with it or get any access to the interior. And as you can see there, it also has a sensor which will be motion activated as anyone comes by along the trail. So these will also be made from stainless steel material, which will allow it to be really durable and to stand the test of time. This will also allow for it to withstand any severe or climactic weather that we tend to get in Oklahoma from time to time as well. These will also be coated with a protectant to help prevent any type of graffiti or damage that people may want to create on our public artwork. And another thing that I forgot to mention here, let's see. Yes, sorry, one last thing I forgot to mention is that these will also sit on concrete platforms that will have it slightly elevated above the ground, and each structure itself will be about 450 pounds. So these will be really durable, and they'll also create for great fun interaction, as you can see here on the previous slide, different ways in which people can interact. There'll also be stainless, as I said, so that reflective mirroring look that you'll see there will be visible for those who pass along the trail, so you'll even be able to walk up and see your face on the surface there. So that's all I have for this presentation. I am willing to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Commissioner Cooper.
I don't mean this to sound like a facetious question, but with the kind of technology we have, will they be capable of making sounds that sound like talk?
No, they will not.
They'll just make sounds.
Yes, so the sound that is best described is sort of similar to that of a theremin. So it will only make one particular sound. It won't be able to speak or create any voice-like mimicking, if that's sort of the answer to your question. So it would be a very specific sound, and another unique thing is that this will be solar powered, and it will also include a timer to where it won't create noise all throughout the night. It will shut off after a certain time in the evening as well. So.
You said theremin, yes?
Yes.
But it won't be that high pitched.
No, it won't.
It'll be in the bass range, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. On. There you go.
Are all three making the same noise?
So all three of them will have a different level of pitch, but they will all be relatively low in noise. So it won't be super loud. It won't be very distracting for people that are surrounding. It will be more so for those interacting with it in that small vicinity.
Oh, I think that the hardware solution is excellent. My question really has to do with the software and the software updates over the years, that the maintenance is going to be able to, is there going to be provisions so that if there is a software transference, like one becomes obsolete, that this will be maintained?
Mm-hmm. So this not only does it will have a 3-year warranty with the artist that includes a 3-year maintenance plan, which if anything were to break down, they will just come in and repair it. And they ensured us that the repair process will be easy for all of the parts, so it won't take very much effort or extensive of time. But then in addition to that, in addition to those 3 years, the artist is also preparing a maintenance plan that will actually include like a small booklet for us to understand how all the parts work and if anything is needed for parks specifically to do any like small maintenance.
I think that the hardware, like the parts itself, are fantastic. I think it's robust. It's the software component over time that I'm questioning.
I'm sorry,
The software.
Could you repeat the entire question, please?
My question is, over time, as software updates and becomes obsolete, the hardware, the actual physical components, I'm not questioning at all. It's the software. What's going to be there to make sure that the software as a budget is maintained, that runs the sound, that runs the interactions, because we've all had on our windows and other things, there's a point where it becomes obsolete and you have to up. And so it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And so that kind of provision in the future would be really nice to have in there.
Yes, of course. All of those things will be accounted for as a part of the maintenance plan.
Do you know if it's, go ahead, go ahead.
How close do you have to be for it to respond? I mean, is it actual touch, or is it within a certain proximity of movement going by it? How far out can a person be before the sound house starts responding?
So it would actually be just within proximity of the trail. So you won't actually have to touch it to interact with it. It will respond to you just simply walking along the trail and passing by it. But of course, the artist just included those additional features as a part of the interaction if you were to walk up and touch it. But to answer your question, it would just be within the vicinity of the trail.
So as far away as, what, 6 feet? Or the trails, walking trails like 5 feet wide or 6 feet wide or 10 feet wide? I don't know.
I'm not sure of the exact measurements, but yes, however far along the trail is.
Oh. Too bad it doesn't say hello.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion then? All right, and vote. passes. Now we'll go on to item 3C, Rise by Ebony Iman Dallas. The painting will be located at Maps 4 Diversion Hub on Linwood Boulevard at Ellison Avenue, Ward 6, and Leandro will present.
Yes. So we actually have two projects for this. So I'll stay after this one to talk about the next one as well. So both of these will be large-scale 2D artworks that will be 4 feet by 7 feet that will go inside the new Diversion Hub. And if you're not familiar, Diversion Hub is an agency that works with low-level offenders and those who are formerly incarcerated to help transition them out of the criminal justice system. And their entire goal is to focus on positive outcomes for those who have gone through the criminal justice system. So, in partnership with them, one of the things they communicated with us is that one of the themes they would like to see is that of hope, restoration, encouragement, works that their clients will be able to look at and feel very encouraged and empowered about moving forward in their lives. So with that in mind, I'll show you this next piece of artwork that we have. So here's the first artwork by Ebony Iman Dallas. I'm sure many of you are familiar with her. She completed the work at the Willie D. Johnson Recreational Center, and her work is entitled Rise. And as you can see there, it shows a transitional, really tells a story actually from those who have gone through similar experiences in the criminal justice system. And of course, one of the things I like the most about this piece is that it shows them reaching out for this key, really, that is sort of a representation of a key to the future, to your future, of really reclaiming your life and reclaiming the power and ability that's inside of you to really move forward. So I think that this artwork will go great with the space that it's in. A lot of the color schemes that you see here will be a part of the color scheme that's actually inside the Diversion Hub lobby as well. And again, just for a reference, this will be 4 feet by 7 feet, so this will be a really large size piece of artwork. So this one in particular will also be multimedia, so it will include painting, wood, and textiles as well. I'm happy to answer any questions about this artwork.
Yeah, and I guess you can address this. Sorry, so bad.
Would you like for me to talk
and
about both
the
of them?
next one
Okay.
address the diversity issue that we talked about.
Yes. So I'll go ahead and discuss the next one. So this is the other piece of artwork that will be done by 120 Gallery, which is partnered by Mitchell Zenarosa and artist Floyd Strickland out of California. So this is another piece that will sit across from the artwork, but they will both be located inside the lobby. So this one sort of communicates the same themes. The artist specifically talked about the phrase I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, it takes a village. So this is sort of the motivation behind this piece. As you can see, there are multiple individuals working together to create what is a holistic piece of artwork. So I do want to clarify that this particular artwork is just a concept. So the individuals that you see there will not be the actual individuals that are in the painting. The artist communicated that he would actually like to travel here to Oklahoma City and use actual citizens here as his models. So the painting will be diverse. It will include multiple people, and they will also be reflective of Oklahoma City as they will be citizens of Oklahoma City. So,
Great, excellent, thank you.
of course.
So going back to the Ebony Mandalis piece, we've got a motion and we need a second. And a vote. Great, passed. Is there anything you need to add about the Floyd Strickland and Mitchell Zenarosa piece?
No, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
With this artist out of California, are there any opportunities built into this where there might be interaction with local artists?
With
A mural
local
art-
artists?
Yeah, mural artists in the community.
Not necessarily any local artists in particular, but the artist does plan to travel here to partner with just citizens. So he plans to use a style similar to that of Kehinde Wiley, where for a lot of his paintings, he just find citizens and individuals that he may have connections with. I know the artist did specifically state that he has a lot of family here, so I know with that in mind, I know he plans to collaborate a lot with people here who are local for the artwork.
Yeah, I think that it would be interesting, you know, even if there were an artist talk or something, you know, some opportunity for interaction with the local arts community, that would be a real opportunity with this artist. The work is beautiful and would be an added extra if we could make that happen.
Absolutely. I can't say for certain, but I'm sure from my conversations with the artist, I'm sure he would be open to doing that.
Right.
Any more questions on the second piece that we saw? Okay, and we've got a motion and a second, so we can vote. And it passes. Next, we'll move on to item 3D, a donation agreement, Connections, Oklahoma City's Global Family by Scott Henderson and Kyle Van Ostel, from Sister Cities International, Oklahoma City, to the City of Oklahoma City. The multi-dimensional work of art will be located inside Will Rogers World Airport, Ward 3. I think Leandre's present. Oh, Robbie, I got mixed up.
Robbie Jones, Special Projects Coordinator. This item is for a donation of art from Sister Cities to the City of Oklahoma City. Sister Cities would like to donate a multidimensional mural that includes video screen digital art to be displayed at Will Rogers World Airport. The artists creating the work are Scott Henderson and Kyle Van Osdal. And let me give you a little bit of background about Sister Cities International. It was created at President Eisenhower's 1956 White House Conference on Citizen Diplomacy. He envisioned an organization that could create bonds between people from different cities around the world. Sister Cities' mission is to promote peace through mutual respect, understanding, and cooperation. And the origins of this particular project began years ago after Mayor Holt saw a map in the Santa Barbara airport that identified the city's international sister cities. When he returned from that trip, he approached our Sister Cities organization here to see if they might be able to do something similar, and they were definitely on board for that. Sister Cities contacted the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs for support to get the project rolling. Our office was able to provide technical support on our artist selection and manage communications through all parties, including the staff at Will Rogers World Airport. The selection committee included Jeff Mudler, the director of the airport, Mary Blankenship Pointer, the then president of Sister Cities International, Oklahoma City, and other stakeholders. Location was selected within the airport. It's on the center concourse area on the secured side of the terminal, and I don't know if you've been there recently, but it's across from, they put in a new Hatch restaurant. It's across from that. The call to artists went out in July of 2023, and the final selection was made in September. So this, you can see an image of the map, that it is three-dimensional. On those circles that are in there, that lists the 7 sister cities, and then there is also the monitor at the other end that's going to have information about the cities going on that people can learn about and interact with that. Did you read that? The recommendation from staff today is that the donation agreement be recommended to City Council for approval. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. So, Robin, on this donation, it's interesting because it is with the airport. Is it with the airport trust?
Yes.
And so, in terms of long-term maintenance of this donated artwork, usually there is a gift that comes to go to it, that it basically goes into a fund to help take care of maintenance. Is that what's happening with that?
So at this point, we're still working on this. It'll go into the inventory for the Oklahoma City to be insured. The project is probably going to be 5 to 8 years at the airport, and
so it's intended to be a short term?
correct.
Okay, but is the airport then going to be responsible for maintenance during that time period on
They are,
these?
Our office is responsible. We are
So that was the
responsible.
point of the when there's a donated piece, that along with the work comes a certain amount of funding to help maintain to maintain the artwork. And that's part of our policies, I thought. That has been the I mean, we moved to
Right.
that policy because the city has taken works of art into the collection that they were unable to maintain. And so that's why the policy was adopted early on as part of the master plan.
Okay, I understand. I'm not sure that, we haven't got to that point yet for the maintenance, and I don't think that it's going to be a problem, but we will consider that.
So would the recommendation to accept this work of art, should that also come with qualification that there must be some form of maintenance in order to accept this donated work?
How do you
I'm
feel
asking the
about
question. Since that was a policy, yeah.
Also, I'm wondering who issued the RFP for this? Did the city do it, or did Sister Cities do it?
I think Sister Cities, from what she said.
Might be easier for me to respond to this directly. Randy Marks, Arts Liaison. So, as Robbie said, be covered under the city insurance policy. The airport trust is responsible for day-to-day maintenance of the work. But what we're talking, I think your question maybe is more directed towards any repair, damage, that kind of thing.
No, it's to just the general wear of the, I mean, the insurance policy, I understand, would take care of any damage to the work, but just sort of the general, the wear and tear, just the natural wear and tear that isn't covered by insurance, that's what the fund was supposed to assist with in terms of helping to maintain the work of art, is my understanding.
So the,
And it's the long-term maintenance of the work of art.
so this is the second or third part of a multi-step process that we're involved in here. So the donation agreement, step number one, the donation agreement is the donation from Sister Cities to City of Oklahoma City. City of Oklahoma City owns the work, period. It never, the ownership never transfers to the airport trust. Between the City of Oklahoma City and the Oklahoma City Airport Trust, there will be what's called an art display and maintenance agreement. And that'll be the next step. We haven't worked out all of the details of that, but those will be worked out in a separate agreement. So this is specifically about Sister City donating it to the City of Oklahoma City.
So if you get to that second step and they say, but we can't help do that, if our policy says in order to accept the work of art into the city's collection, that's part of the agreement, which is the maintenance funds to be able to maintain it. And, you know, any other commissioner that has a different recollection, but that's what I remember, because the city had ultimately had so many pieces of art that had been donated to the city, and the city was unable to maintain. Not the insurance. Repair damage is a different issue, but to maintain the piece at a level of condition where it could be shown.
We've tackled this a number of different ways. So typically in the collection, day-to-day maintenance is the responsibility of the owning agency, whether that's a department, parks, whatever, or whether it's a trust or some other authority. So that's typically the way that we do that. We haven't spelled this out, but in my understanding and all the discussions about this is that they are responsible for day-to-day maintenance. Now, beyond that, then city owns it and city is responsible. But the city is not responsible for going out and wiping off the computer, screen, for example. Those kinds of things are being done by airport or by airport trust staff. Am I getting close to answering your question?
It's ultimately about the condition of the work, not so much about cleaning computer screens and that sort of thing, but ultimately maintaining the level of condition of the work for the public be able to interact with it?
To the best of my understanding, Commissioner Eichmann, is that they are responsible for that during the time that they have it. We are still working towards whatever that final resolution is.
So if the airport trust says, but we don't have the money to do this,
Okay,
that's what the purpose of
and
that fund?
Yes, and you're bringing up a much bigger subject, which we are working on, and we'll give a report at one of the next two commissions about what we are specifically doing in those regards. And it will specifically address issues like this in a holistic type of fashion rather than piecemeal.
Commissioner Cooper.
Well, I'm wondering, is this supposed to be a piece of art, or is this an ad for Sister Cities? I mean, Sister Cities is a freestanding, I assume a 501c3 organization. And they've got a video screen there. That's another component that could go wrong over a period of time. It's an electronic component. It has projectiles that stick out from it, which would be, it looks like it's something that could be bent off, so it would be damaged. I mean, I see Commissioner Eichmann's concern is this looks like something that's going to take some maintenance, and somebody's going to have to pay for it. And if the policy of the Art Commission has been over the last several years that art projects presented to the city will carry with it a companion fund for the repair and maintenance, then Sister City, in addition to paying for the development of this, should include in their proposal an additional sum to help maintain this. Especially, I mean, there's a 50-inch television there. That could break. That could break. Or just wear out. Or wear out.
It's not covered by insurance.
Yeah, I mean, it's a concern. It's a concern. And my concern is that Sister City as an organization is prominently displayed there, and I assume on that TV screen that maybe there'll be that history of why it's Oklahoma City's Sister Cities. You know, I suppose, I don't know if there's a selection process, how they make the decision, I don't know what all goes involved. I do not know what all goes into making a determination that a community in the world is going to become a sister city to Oklahoma City. And I don't know if it's done just through the Sister City organization or if it somehow also is done through the Oklahoma City Council that agrees to adopt, have, a relationship with these various international cities. So I don't know if the mayor's wanting something that shows our sister cities. Is he wanting something that shows Oklahoma City's sister cities, or does he want something that is an advertising vehicle for the Sister Cities organization?
So he wants to show Oklahoma's sister cities, and my understanding is that it's from mayor to mayor that makes the decision. So from one country to another, they make the decision. I think in your packet it may say what years each of those came on board, but that answered at least a little bit of the question you were asking about how they got started.
Well, I understand. The mayor went to Sister Cities organization and asked them to fund the display that he wanted to have to reflect that Oklahoma City does, in fact, have a relationship with a number of communities around the world as a sister city, which I think is maybe different than the Sister City organization, which is a separate nonprofit. They may facilitate it, but I don't know if they run it.
So,
Because it looks to me, the general presentation, like it's an advertising vehicle, a sign. It looks like a sign for sister cities, and not necessarily a depiction of the locations in the world that have a sister city relation with Oklahoma City. it maybe it's just the picture that they showed us makes it look that way, and it may not be that way at all.
In the presentation that the artist gave, they show an extensive video that goes into greater depth for each of those cities and tells stories about those cities visually. And on the static map, you see the different locations. So I'm not sure. I mean, definitely it is about sister cities, but it's about Oklahoma City and its relationship to these cities. And the bigger message is that we are connected to different cities and different human beings around the planet. And there's all kinds of interactions between the citizens of those cities and the citizens and residents of Oklahoma City. So some of them have visited here, and then there's also been exchange. So my impression is that Oklahoma City benefits from this relationship, and I don't see what Sister City really gains by advertising themselves. They're not a for-profit organization. So if it looks to me like if there is a message of goodwill there that reflects upon sister cities, that's part of what President Eisenhower hoped to accomplish.
Okay.
Is this understanding of goodwill among cities. Whether or not it looks like art, the commission is certainly willing to make some kind of determination or voice your opinion about whether it's art or not. To me, there's absolutely no question about it. And what we're noticing, but this is my opinion. That's all that it is, and I don't instruct the commission how they should feel about things. But what we're seeing more and more in artwork, it's not the kind of artwork that existed only 25 years ago or something like that, that art was in neatly defined categories. It breaks all kinds of boundaries, including things that have some aspects of communication which could be considered signs. So I've gone on long enough about that, so I'm going to
We have a question for Commissioner Center.
Yes, Randy, just in the idea that it is goodwill and donation, do you think sister cities would be opposed to their signage being less prominent?
I'm not even sure that that is staying there, because that is going to be the screen in which all of the 7 sister cities, all of their information is going to be going on that. I think that the artist probably just put that up because there is an art marker and they're only allowed to have a certain percentage with their logo on it.
That's what I was going to say.
And so I think that this is just their rendering that's showing you the sister cities emblem on what I guess they could have made that as their cover page, but mostly it's just going to go into those 7 different cities. And that, in your packet, there's a little bit more information about that.
Well, and I'm in the packet, and that was my other question. Well, one about the percentage of signage, but the second was there budget included in this, a detailed budget? I'm looking in the packet.
Yeah, there was
I can't
a
hear you,
budget
I'm
in the
sorry.
second packet.
Budget detail, I'm looking in the packet for the budget detail.
It's 18,500.
And then just kind of back to Liz's earlier question about a portion of that being for maintenance.
Does the city have discretionary funds to fix something that breaks on us?
No.
Did you say no?
So currently, we have no set source of funds to address things like this. And I want to bring up something that maybe I should have brought up a long time ago. So it is up to Commissioner Kovash to recognize the speaker. So if you have a question, address him. He'll call on you, and then we will answer.
Commissioner?
Okay, I think Terry did make a point or Commissioner Cooper did make a point that I connected with, and I view this more under our cultural umbrella and maybe less under the visual art umbrella, and maybe view it as an artistic installation of a cultural item about our city or about our residents. which I do still think is in our purview to give recommendations on. Now, whether or not we use the exact verbiage that might be already in our packet in that recommendation, I think obviously our recommendations can always be edited from the horseshoe. But I would like to include some language related to the recommendation so that without adding a specific dollar amount to it, that there is a definitive direction to include a maintenance plan and responsibility with a party to the new contract that chooses to take the financial responsibility of the maintenance on. If the airport trust in this next phase comes back to arts and culture and says, we're already prepared to pay for the maintenance of this piece because we think this is a cool installation, and that's something that we're willing to accept on our own budget for the next 7 or 8 years while this is here, great, that needs to be a part of the agreement. If they are not willing to do it, then Sister Cities or another party to the agreement needs to be specifically referenced as the financial responsible party for the cost of the maintenance of the items, because there will be some, so I would make a motion that we recommend that this piece move to the donation agreement phase, and that it be called a multidimensional cultural installation. You feel okay with that?
Commissioner Whiteman.
In terms of, if you, adding on to that recommendation that when it comes back to us with
I think if
the various conditions that you listed, Commissioner Bailey, are all perfect. I mean, it really nails it. But making sure that it comes back if those conditions aren't met in the recommendation.
Maybe we use terms like, some term like a reasonable maintenance agreement in place, and I assume if that's a requirement that somebody is going to have to agree to that the next phase anyway. So I'm sure that it probably would have happened no matter what, but adding it into our recommendation, I think hopefully will emphasize that we believe there is a cost to maintaining this in the 7 to 8, 10 years, however long it's going to be there, and that we encourage that to be a transparent part of the discussion and the donation agreement. And I don't know what a standard for assessing a potential amount of, I'm not expecting there to be money necessarily donated into escrow for this, being held or something, because I know there may be other conversations happening about that. But if one party understands, hey, a 3% of the total cost of the piece is an expected maintenance cost over the 7 to 10 years, or whatever the standard would be for that, I would love for the party that is agreeing to those responsibilities to understand that.
Commissioner Smalling?
That's a very long
I'm sorry.
response, I'm sorry.
And I think to add to all this, I think there needs to be an explicit connection to this of the additional cities that will happen here. That as at whatever that presentation is happening, that goes on, that's part of that budget. In other words, like when they add a new city, because the move by the mayor to include more of the consulates, from Latin America, that's obviously we're going to have something there.
I'd like to make a suggestion then. I think it would be more efficient if you voted to table this and let us work this out and then bring it back, rather than moving it forward with a lot of contingencies. I think let's take care of the contingencies and we bring it back fully fleshed out. Is that?
Can you augment my motion there and just strike it, please?
As long as that's acceptable for the timeline that has been shared with the other parties. I'm okay with my recommendation being lengthy, but if it's cleaner for you, we can table it.
When Dallas Love Field used to have a map of the United States,
I can just tell her. I actually went on our first trip to our sister city, Tulsa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was in Mexico. Yeah. Getting, the hat, I found the pictures from that trip, and I'm like, oh my God, it was like a million years ago.
Okay, we've been advised that we will table it until or continue it, sorry, until the next meeting, which should be May 20th.
Okay. And that doesn't need any kind of vote or anything? Do we need to vote on that? Okay. The motion is to table it until
To
you bring it back to the
continue.
commission.
Yes,
Okay.
motion and a vote to continue it.
Is deferred enough? It says deferred. Does that capture what we're talking about here?
It needs to be a motion to continue it
Okay.
to May 20th, 2024. Okay, she said she can change it.
So for now, we're calling it deferred, but it will change.
PrimeGov wants to call it deferred. It is a continuance,
Okay.
but PrimeGov calls it a deferred. It'll be changed manually by Robin later.
Okay. Is everybody all right with that? Okay, let's vote. Okay, whatever that was, it passed.
Okay.
All right, now, I think we have what might be considered an update on Bolt Tower by Jenny Sabine Studio, sculpture to be located near the Coliseum on the Oklahoma State Fairgrounds, Ward 6. And Randy?
Okay. First of all, about the last items, thank you for all of your comments. That was really, really good, and I appreciate it. So, Bolt Tower, which you're seeing day and nighttime versions of, and this came to Arts Commission in February. You voted to accept the recommendation from the selection committee for the selection of Bolt Tower, then also the location. And the recommendation of the selection committee was that the site would be at the site of the old Space Tower. And very soon thereafter, and you voted to, that was part of your recommendation. Very soon after that, we found out that there was a marked preference on the part of the Fair Board and others for that not to be the location. So there was a lot of factors, the number one factor being that there was a very overwhelming preference for having it closer to the site of the Coliseum. That was one thing, and I forgot the second one all of a sudden. So we analyzed 7 different sites on the fairgrounds, pros and cons of 7 different sites. And the site that was ultimately favored by everybody was also on Gordon Cooper, not at the entrance that the call for artist had asked for, but which was right there on May Avenue, but further west. So this puts it into much closer proximity to the Coliseum in a direct line of sight coming up Gordon Cooper. Also, with the height of this, it's still going to be very visible from May Avenue and also visible from I-44. So this is what is going to go to council. Now, you can do a number of different things. You can have a discussion and vote to change your recommendation to this site. You can have a discussion and you can vote to continue to recommend the site that you recommended. You can have a discussion and vote for some other site if you wanted to do that, or you can have a discussion and not vote at all. So in which case your recommendation would stand, but it's not going to end up at that site.
Do I remember that the site that the State Fairgrounds wants is also more in line with their future development plans?
Thank you, and that was the other point that I stumbled over. So the entire emphasis of the fairgrounds is moving to the south. So you see the yellow circle there is immediately south and a little bit east of the Bennett Event Center, which has weekly events. The Coliseum, of course, will be sponsoring huge events. You go just a little bit further west and a little bit to the north, and you have the various horse facilities. And the overwhelming amount of money that comes into the fairgrounds is from the horse activities. It is not from the state fair, as fun as deep fried Snickers and all of that are. It is the horse activities that bring in tens of millions of dollars on a regular basis to the city. So that is another reason why the preference was, let's have this over where most of the activity is taking place now, looking to the future rather than to the past. And so I'll make the comment that this still fulfills that kind of hope that we had when we first announced it, which was that there would be a piece that would become a landmark signature piece of artwork that is going to speak to those kids who come back with their kids and their grandkids. So we definitely have that in that work. Also, in the location that is being suggested, it is not going to be spanning the ditch. There's level ground with a sidewalk running there, so there's already a precedence for people walking through that area. And we can just imagine that people that are parking in the parking lot further to the south will say, I'm going to meet you at the tower, that beautiful tower there. Let's meet there, and then we'll go on into the main part of the fairgrounds. So there are those thoughts.
Questions? Commissioner Cooper?
I move we accept the recommendation to the State Fair Board.
Any other questions from commissioners before we do that? Okay, need a motion and a second. Okay, all in favor or not? So something passed. And we have nothing on the consent docket for today. I'm sorry. Is there something else?
That Teresa made the motion, but it was Commissioner Cooper.
Okay. So Commissioner Cooper, although you spoke first, Commissioner Moisant pushed the button
She hit the
first.
button first.
So is it okay for her to?
That's perfectly okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we sorted that out then?
Well, I think we're all good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, now again, we have nothing for the consent docket. Do we have any committee reports? You're next, Deborah. Okay, excellent. All right, and comments from commissioners. We're going to start with Deborah for the commission advocate report.
We are actually doing a brief advocate report this month and going to do a more comprehensive one. in the May meeting, but we cannot go without saying the obvious of everything setting up around City Hall and downtown to celebrate the beginning of spring with our Arts Festival, but there are so many exciting changes with the Arts Festival so that people will be sure to know that these changes, I think, are very positive. I really salute the leadership of Angela Cosby and her team for being bold and trying something new of going to a 4-day festival. So if you're planning on being there Tuesday for opening day, you'll just be early. But Angela and Seth, and the other thing about this is that we are incorporating thousands and thousands of volunteers. So we so look forward to the Festival of the Arts this year. And then Angels and Friends is different because it will be combined with FestaFirst shopping, and Angels and Friends will take place Wednesday evening, April 24th, for the 57th annual Angels and Friends. And then everyone should have received a notice that the Paseo Arts District Streetscape, they've invited us to join them Friday, May 10th at 11 to see all their changes, and Mayor Holt, as well as Councilperson Cooper, will be there. And next month, a more comprehensive arts.
Where would we have received that?
It just came today.
Okay. I got that.
That's all.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. Any comments or anything from other commissioners? Nope. Nope. Okay. Public comments. Any members of the public who wish to address the commission? I only see one public.
I want to point out one of our public there, Miss Sunny Kearley, President and CEO of Allied Arts, who was just named one of our hometown heroes by the CVB. So we so appreciate you, Sunny, and all that you are doing. And you're definitely one of our hometown heroes.
Thank you, Commissioner Center. Did you wish to make any comments? Okay. And short of anything else, Commissioner Cooper, we're going to adjourn. Thank you.